Now, listed buildings. You remember yesterday we had Environment Minister Dermot Nesbitt in, and he made an appeal to builders who'd begun to demolish the South Belfast home where poet Seamus Heaney lived. Well, it hadn't happened at that stage, but he was hoping that it wouldn't happen. This is where Seamus Heaney lived when he was at Queen's University. And this morning, the bulldozers, they were back on the job, 16 Ashley Avenue off the Lisburn Road. Progress? Another example of how our heritage is being destroyed. Bill Rolston's on the line. He's an author, sociology professor at the University of Ulster, and an angry man, I think, Bill.
Well, yeah, frustrated more than anything else, David. I mean, a lot of people in the street, especially the next door neighbours to the house in question, have been highlighting this point about that house for going on 2 years now. It's not like this came as a bolt from the blue, that this was Seamus Heaney's house and that something needed to be done. And nobody seems to have sat up and taken heed until the last minute here, and it's too late. The house is down. As I watch it, it's the last bits of it are going down.
You see, Dermot Nesbitt, he was here yesterday, and he was quite strong on this, and he's issued another statement now saying, shame on the developer. I deeply regret the owner of the property has taken this action. I am angry. I am disappointed, etc., etc.
Yeah, fine, that's great, and nobody more feeling that than some of the residents in the street here. But shame's not enough, David. Shame's not enough, or even anger's not enough. I mean, the point is, we were told through the Good Friday Agreement that this was a wonderful thing we had here. We were going to have devolution. We were going to have local abilities to make laws and to enforce those laws. And people are just washing their hands now and saying that the developer has not broken the law.
Well, that's true, of course.
But he hasn't. But then why don't we change the law? Because there's hardly a week goes by that some story like this doesn't come up. There's precious little heritage that we have like this. And I mean, I just think we've been sold a bit of a pig in the poke. Calling developers shameful, it's water off a duck's back, isn't it?
You believe the Philistines are winning, do you?
I think that the Philistines have not set out to win. They're winning by default. What they're saying to us is that progress is good for everybody. You know, there's employment here, there's development here. And people like residents, people who like parks or going on walks or any of these sorts of things, can rightly turn around.
I can't understand it. I have to be careful not to talk about the specific here in the interest of balance, but you know, if I were given a sledgehammer and there was a building that I knew was of some historical interest or related to some person of historical interest, I would find it very difficult to wield that sledgehammer and knock the first hole in the wall.
But David, you're one of these really liberals that stand in the way of progress.
I know
That's
that. Sorry
problem,
about that. Yeah.
Because the point is, I mean, I don't blame the workers that are out there. They're earning the money, and you know, a building that they're told to knock down is a building. That's it.
That's true.
And in a funny sort of way, I don't even blame the developer. That sounds funny, but I mean, clearly, a lot of these developers are narrow-minded. They're thinking only of profit. They're thinking of how many townhouses can they squeeze in at what price into streets and things like that. What I do blame is the local politicians who have been told countless times, Shane's Park a couple of weeks ago, this week, something else next month. They've been told countless times that there's a problem here and they have an ability to do something about it, and I don't see anybody getting rattled.
Yeah. Are you a football fan, Bill?
No, but I was listening to your last bit.
Why are you
asking me?
I could just wonder, were you all upset about Keane being sent home?
Sorry, I'm the least sporty person I've ever come across in my life.
I was just trying to tempt you into a comment on it, you see.
Sounds so beautifully to me.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. Thanks very much, Bill. Well, could only but try. Plenty of calls. I think I have a couple of callers, do I, on the subject of listed buildings. Do I have the Reverend Richard Willans on the line?
Yes, indeed you do, David.
Right, sir. What's your point?
Well, I'd just like to make a couple of points with regard to yesterday's discussion and then broaden it out slightly. Dermot Nesbitt gave a very nice thank you to individuals who were living in houses and looking after listed buildings and so on. There are thousands and thousands of people who down through the generations have been looking after a great many listed buildings in the province, and those are the church congregations of all denominations, and they get very little help. The buildings are listed, And we need to say thank you to them for keeping them going. One of the beauties of our province is that we have these beautiful little churches all over the place. And people have been trying to keep them going. And it's when a building is listed, you don't necessarily get any money for it, but you do have to maintain it in the way in which the law requires.
Yeah, so they tell you what to do with it, how to do it, but you've got to pay for it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the other things that's happening is, now I've got 3 country churches here, and 2 of them were built by Sir Charles Lanyon, who's definitely coming into profile these days.
Yeah.
And with dwindling congregations in the countryside, it's becoming more and more difficult to maintain the buildings. Each of these churches, each of the 3 that I have anyway, and none of this is unusual, needs about £100,000 work done to it. And there is no particular way in which the smaller congregations can actually find that kind of money.
True. Before you go, where are your churches?
One's in Clough, County Antrim Clough.
Yes.
One's in Clough-Mills.
Yes.
And the other's called Craig's. It's just outside Cullybackey. It's the biggest one.
Right.
And we have, every summer season in particular, we have a lot of visitors from all over the world who drop in to see this church. For some obscure reason, Craig's, as a name and as a place, has got itself on most of the global maps.
Fascinating. Thank you very much. Thank you for your call. Mark Taggart?
Hello.
Are you there? No, man.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that you are a master thatcher, Mark.
That's right. And I was just phoning in there to talk about the ongoing heritage crisis in terms of the building that was knocked down last night. As far as I'm concerned, that there is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
And what you're actually looking at is part of the problem being the historical buildings and monuments themselves. They are following up flawed policies and a grant system, which is, in my opinion, responsible for the systematic destruction of the thatch-listed buildings in Northern Ireland.
Do we have many thatch buildings left here?
We have less than 125. England's got 60,000. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, it says a lot. So what needs to be done?
Well, we need a task force straight away. We need the MLA to go in there and root out the dead wood. That's how drastic this thing has become. We need some sort of task force that can go on a mission of triage to cope with the last 125 houses. And I'm in contact with a lot of clients who own those thatched houses. I mean, they are seriously miffed at the fact that those houses are repeatedly failing after 4 to 5 years. Their thatch is failing. And they're having to lump out money the whole time. People talk about giving these people medals. You know, at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, these are lions led by donkeys.
Heritage. People are very angry about these things, and rightly so. And a lot of people are angry about football as well. Martin McElhinney may well be one of them. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Jim.